Okay, here we go. Um, so there's so much. So yoga and anxiety. I think all of us can relate at some points or many points of our days where anxiety can really be something that is difficult for us to deal with. How it shows up in my body is a sense, my heart rate can be fluttery, my breathing can be a little rough. I can get tingly in my fingers. I can get a little narrow vision. I can just feel, that body feeling of worry and kind of a little stress. And maybe it shows up differently for you. There's so many different ways that anxiety can show up. I know that for one of my daughters, she just gets really cranky. She kind of like bites people's heads off just little bits at a time, not anything intense. But we all need to kind of recognize the signals that we're in a teeny bit of distress, or a lot of distress, so that we can tend to what's happening. It's a very natural and normal state to be anxious at times. And there's so much in the yoga toolbox that we can do to help when we feel this way. So if you struggle with anxiety, and my blessings to you, if it's something that you struggle with chronically, because it's a very difficult body and mind state to be in. But even if it's just kind of circumstantial and occasional for you, there's so much you can do. So from a yoga, from our little yoga box that we can open up, there's so much. So if you think about the nervous system and wanting to heighten the parasympathetic nervous system, this is that rest and digest part of our autonomic nervous system that tends to like go offline when anxiety rises within us. Our sympathetic drive kicks into gear. This is the fight or flight, and it can be small and it can be huge. And remember that fight or flight can also include fawn or freeze or fake. So for some people, when they get anxious, they just disassociate or really become immobilized. So whatever the pathways that you have in this way, if you recognize this in your body, one of the greatest things you can do is just try to have that shift of the nervous system toward the parasympathetic. And this is not always so easy to access. And I think, a lot of us have been told, just take a deep breath. And that's actually a very unconstructive thing to do, because when we inhale, especially when we inhale deeply, when we're anxious, we tend to breathe high and we tend to hold and grip that breath. But really, what we should be encouraging ourselves to do is to exhale fully. If we can kind of harness the power of our exhales in those moments of stress and anxiety, we will have a little bit of a parasympathetic nervous system shift. And hopefully, that kind of begets a little bit more of that. So grounding, things that ground you and things that help you cultivate a long, steady exhale are one of the easiest and simplest tools to kind of grab onto when you're feeling it this way. So the breathwork patterns can look lots of different ways. The simplest is to just purse lip exhale, slow that exhale down, like slow-mo blowing candles out on a birthday cake. That's usually the easiest first tool to grasp. And then once we have a little bit of a handle on, okay, I can breathe now, there's lots of tools that we can come to access when we start to have a sense of being able to manage our breath. So start with the long exhales, and then you can do lots of different breath patterns. There can be box breathing, where you count and you can breathe in evenly for whatever count. For the inhale, the pause, the exhale, the pause, like a box. I don't find that to be as helpful as just extending out the exhales. But for some people, that's a really great rhythm to get steady and stable. So the last thing I'll say is alternate nostril breathing can be something that's very helpful as well. It's something that just kind of sets a tone in our brain, in our mind, that helps us get into a focused, relaxed state. So those are the things I would recommend. And then any physical practices where you feel grounded. It could be restorative poses, it could be more active poses, but something that helps you attune to the present moment and breath and start to be able to widen the tolerance of experience that you have. So to widen your ability to stay present for your anxiety or whatever else you're feeling, so you don't feel like you have to run away from it, damp it down, hide it, whatever, needing change immediately. So all of physical practices will help us with these things as well. Okay, enough chit chat. So I hope, none of that is like super, headline news, but it's just a reminder, because I know that many of us struggle with anxiety on the regular, and you might think, what do I do? How do I help myself? And these are just a couple of examples. There's so much more, but just a couple of examples of how you can support yourself. Okay, so let's go ahead and sit up straight and tall and come to a centered place. So adjust, maybe you're up on the edge of a bolster or a blanket, maybe you're on the floor, whatever feels good. And just take a moment to drop your attention and your awareness to the inner realms. One of the greatest tools that we can access for anxiety is just to become aware. How are you feeling? So this kind of taking some time to check in and observe the mind body. So many of the moments of the day we can be unaware of how things are affecting us or how we feel. So take this moment to drop in and pay attention. Especially if you tend to use distraction as a coping mechanism, this can be hard to drop yourself down and in. So be present for yourself as best as you can and begin to focus on your breath. So you don't have to lengthen the exhale yet, just get to know how you're breathing right now. What's tight? Are there parts of your body that are frozen or rigid? Are there parts of your body that are fluid and working well with the breath? And then let's just do this very simple breath, paying attention to the exhales and letting them come out like a long stroll at sunset. So you can count if you want, where the exhale is a little bit longer, a couple beats longer than the inhale. And you don't have to count, just get the sense of paying attention to slowing the exhale down. Now, for some of us, that's difficult, breathing through the nose. So you can do this with a straw sometime if you want, breathing out through the straw. You can just purse your lips and breathe out nice and slowly through pursed lips. The most important nasal breathing is always on the inhale. And of course, exhale too, but if you can't manage that and stay slow, try the pursed lips. You might notice that your inhale is naturally starting to slow as well. As you feel the breath start to regulate into this slower pace, notice what's changing in your mind. Notice what's changing in your body. Start to feel your shoulders relax. Melt through your face. Start to access the parasympathetic nervous system where you can consciously melt the body a little bit more. And when you feel ready, place your hands together and create an intention. Release the hands. Now, if this is something that you struggle with, let's practice this through our practice today. See if you can start training yourself to slow your exhales down, so that when you need it, you have it. You have that easy access. Remember, you need your rolled towel with your rubber bands for today. Okay, so let's come down onto our back and stretch our body out. Lengthen your arms overhead and feel that beautiful stretch in the body. Right side and left side can alternate in their extension. Bring your knees into your chest and rock a little bit, swaying side to side. All right, and then circle your knees. Breathing well. And circle your knees the other way. And then let's open up your knees away from the midline and toward. Allowing your inner thighs to open, your hips to open. All right, and then stretch out like a star, reaching into the edges. Let's roll our wrists and our ankles when we're out here. And just notice that the simple act of the embodiment doesn't have to be strong and vigorous. Just the simple act of embodiment can sometimes bring us back to the present moment, bring us into our bodies so that we can widen that tolerance of feeling anxious. Okay, knees into the chest. Let's stretch your right leg long on the ground, left knee into the chest. Feel that extension and compression. And then switch sides, other knee in. Let's do this a few times, going a little faster. Knee in, and then compress the other. And just start to feel a little bit of squeeze and a little bit of space. All right, and then relax. Stretch out to a star again. Roll around your wrists and your ankles, wiggle your toes, maybe open and close your fists, maybe internal and externally rotate your legs. And then feel into that big open space. And as your exhale comes, knees into your chest, head comes up, give a good squeeze. Inhale, open one more time. This time, squeeze while you're out there in the star. Squeeze everything you can find. Take a moment to just pandiculate, squeeze, squeeze, squeeze those muscles. And then as you exhale, draw the knees in, hold your out breath for a moment and squeeze your face, squeeze your core, your chest, your feet, your hands, everything. And then relax and put your head back down on the ground. Feet on the floor, arms outstretched to the side. Let's just windshield wiper our knees a little bit and open up the sides of our body, a little bit of twisting. Finding breath. All right. Roll over onto your side. Come up onto your hands and your knees. And start to move your body in some cat-cows, arching and rounding the spine, taking your time to feel into your vertebrae. Paying attention to all the little nooks and crannies. Finding space. Enjoy, especially if this is the first kind of movement you've had in your day that's outside of just your regular activities. Just pay attention to your embodiment. And flat back, reach the left arm up in the air, exhale, and slide that arm under, finding a twist. Enjoy what the spine is doing here. Breathing well. So remember, practice the art of slowing your exhales down.
The more practice you have at this when you're feeling stable and good, the more you'll have access to it when you need it, when you're feeling anxious or stressed.
And then inhale, reach that arm all the way back up in the air. Hand comes down onto the ground. Change sides, arm lifting to the sky. Exhale, drop that shoulder down, finding a twist here. Enjoy what's happening in your body. Enjoy embodiment, where you just have this sense of presence. Move into the breath. Enjoy present moment awareness. Enjoy embodiment. And then reach that arm back up in the air. Hand comes down onto the ground. And then find your way up to dog pose. So extending. Feel free to pedal your feet here. Wake things up. You can bend one knee and straighten the other. Just getting a little bit of mobility in our feet, in our heels, our Achilles, our calves. And then find a moment where you just come into stillness and you can reach into your hands, yield down, four corners of hands. Feel that sense of dragging. You're not going to actually move your hands, but hug them toward each other. So you start to feel some of the muscles through your torso support your shoulders in this posture. Once you find that sense of stability, try to relax just a little bit. Yield and then push to lengthen. Melt your skull, relax your face, and start to feel your long exhales here. Notice the natural rebound of your inhale slowing down too. Start to regulate your breathing. Walk your feet forward, come to Uttanasana. Relax your head. Bubble it about. Find your breath. On your next natural inhale, come to a halfway lift. Hands can be on legs, blocks, or floor. As you exhale, fold and melt. Start to let the back line of the body open up. Drop your head. One more time, straighten legs, halfway lift. Spine is growing. Feel the bottom of your feet stretch open. And then exhale, melt your knees, melt your skull, and feel the forward fold. Feel the inversion start to help you drop into a little relaxation. Drop your seat, rise on up, bring your arms to the sky, opening up your chest. Feel that sense of open space. Let's cactus the arms, give a nice open chest here. Arms coming back up. And then swing forward back to Uttanasana. A halfway lift. Melt and fold. Step back to dog pose. A long spine. Spacious here. Breathing well. Now, if your breath is still having challenge regulating, try taking your feet wider apart. Give your pelvis and your belly and your diaphragm lots of space. And then we're going to come forward into a plank. Hold yourself steady, grounding. And when you start to do a pose like this, it makes it a little harder to find that spacious breath. And see what you can do to still feel the exhales coming out slowly. Breathe through your nose, breathe in through your nose as best as you can. Place your knees down onto the ground and find the earth. A couple of shoulder rolls. So we take some of that glue out of our shoulder blades. Inhale, cobra pose, chest opens, and then melt and fold back down. Repeat or take a different position with your arms if you want. Lifting up to a back bend, exhale, melting back down. Come up onto all fours, have a moment to swish about your spine. And then we're going to come back down into child's pose. Soften your skull. What a beautiful posture this is. We often forget that this is a posture in and of itself. It tends to be a quick transition for a lot of things. But staying here, melting here, breathing here is a beautiful practice, not just when you need a little bit of a break from the effort, but just for itself, for the beauty of the pose itself. Long, steady exhale. All right, so come up onto your knees and hands, but walk your hands forward out in front of you, puppy pose. So we're coming down with our chest, forehead can come onto the earth if it feels comfy, but our hips stay high. Go into a thoracic opening to the best of your ability, breathing well. And then come back up, walk the knees forward and the hands back so that you're on all fours and feel your spine move about. Right foot comes forward, left foot is now moving back, lunge. Lift your knee up off the ground, find your breath. Okay, let's start to move, and when we straighten that front leg, maybe your toes lift up, maybe your head bows, maybe not, but focus on the pattern of your breath. So train your body to slow those exhales down, breathing out through your nose or through some pursed lips, feeling the slow, steady pace of your exhale and the natural lengthening that happens on the inhale. Again, feeling the connection of body and breath. Mindfulness, presence, all these things help us to ground. They help us to widen our tolerance of staying present for different levels of sensation. Drop into your lunge, crescent lunge. When you're ready, open things up. Feel the chest rise and find space. Relax the shoulders. Find a place of melting somewhere in your body. Maybe it's the base of your skull. Maybe your diaphragm is able to be a little bit more free. Steady exhales, continue the whole way through. Hands come down onto the ground, back foot folds forward, forward fold, relax your skull. A halfway lift when you feel ready. Feel the extension of legs and spine. Relax and melt again. Step your other foot back. Now our left foot is in front. Enjoy the hip flexor stretch in that right leg, the opening of the spine. Okay. And then let's start to move here. So take care of tending to your breath pattern, feeling the mind touch into the breath, letting the body follow the rhythm of breathing. Find that body, mind, breath connection. Slow and steady exhales. Head can bow. When your head bows, there's this sense of parasympathetic nervous system drive that heightens, just like when we exhale, it heightens. All right, so when you feel ready, find your lunge, stay in it, ground yourself, feel the earth below your feet. And as your balance allows, rise up. Maybe the arms come up overhead, maybe they stay down. Okay, feeling breath, feeling the extension in our spine, that sense of support from the earth. Can you ground your legs? Great, and then back foot comes forward, fold into Uttanasana again. A halfway lift. Relax. Long exhales. Rising up, arms to the sky, open breathing. Trace down through the center. All right, so again, another thing you can put in your toolbox is this sense of accessing awareness of our body to help our nervous system ground us. So what I love about bouncing and rocking and the movement we're about to do, which you have all done with me before, is that I find that it can help calm me when I need calming, and it can energize me when I need energizing, that the body receives it in whatever way it's needed. And this is a really great thing. Sometimes we need to get up and go. Sometimes we need to calm ourselves down. Okay, so let's start just by bouncing. Okay. Now, when you do this, it can be on one foot, it can be on the other foot. Okay, there's no rules, there's no right way to do this. You can change your position a little bit if it feels good. Let your exhales come. It's very grounding to the nervous system to rock and bounce. Think about what you do with babies. Let's do it to ourselves. And you can, do this more vigorously and actually jump if you want to, but really just the bouncing, rocking, shaking can be very helpful. So shake out your limbs. The great thing about doing this all by yourself in your house is that nobody's watching you. Just let yourself be free. And then feel into your stillness. Ground your legs, soften your knees, feel the earth. Let your diaphragm relax a bit so your breath can be reached deeply. Let your exhales come out slow. And just notice if there's a shifting in the body mind. All right. Take a deep breath in. Reach the arms up, lengthen and find space. And then exhale and fold forward. A halfway lift. Spine gets long, melt and fold. Back to dog pose, lengthening through the spine. Feel that sense of space and freedom. Feel the regulation of your breath. Come forward into a plank. Lower yourself down. It can be an up dog. It can be a cobra pose. It can be anything that serves. Release on the exhale. Come back up onto all fours and find another dog pose. Feel the breath pattern through vinyasa. Walk your feet forward, melt and fold. Rising on up, find the breath. Trace down through the center of the body. Notice how movement and breath and presence supports your well-being. Supports your nervous system. Okay, now we're going to do some slapping. Okay, so that sounds funny when kind of put it in context. Now, you can have scoops, like scooping your hands. You can take fists. You can take more open palms, whatever feels good to you. So let's start on our chest. Okay, so above and below your breasts, if you have breasts, and just find that sense of the back body. We just want to open up our lungs here a little bit. Breathe well. And we're going to slap down our arms. And, whether you have long sleeves or no sleeves, the skin is okay to be smacking onto. This is very good for us. Okay. Get into the back of your body. Okay. And you can go down into your buttocks and your legs. Okay. Don't forget your feet. And come up. Don't forget your face and your head. And this is what I mean by it can be both invigorating and soothing all at the same time. Okay, when you're ready to be done, just bring your hands down, stand in Tadasana, and just pay attention. Find your breath here. Is your breath starting to open up? Is your inhale starting to lengthen? Is your exhale starting to be at ease in its length? Can you feel your breath travel into your body a little bit more? All right, let's go ahead and find a wide stance on our mat. Have a block handy. Okay. Take a deep breath in, arms coming on up, Standing star, get yourself big and wide. And then we're gonna come down to a wide squat, elbows on top of or inside knees, just opening up the legs, starting to ground our legs. Root into the four corners of your feet. Can you still have that steady breath pattern as you feel the anchoring of your muscles, the sense of connection to your physical body, the grounding, being close to the earth. And rising on up again, standing star. And we're going to turn your right foot out and find Parsva Konasana. Elbow on your knee and stretch your arm overhead. Now, maybe you need a little bit more support. You can always put a block against your knee with your knee against a wall. You can always do this pose sitting on a chair. There's so many ways of supporting your well-being. Keep moving your left thigh bone back. Feel the extension in both sides of your body. Ground your legs. We're going to flip to the other side. We're going to go left, right, through our standing poses today. Arms coming up big. Exhale, elbow on your knee, forearm on your knee, whatever's comfy. You can always take a block and put your hand on a block as well. Stretching that arm up overhead. Feeling the rhythm of breathing stay. So everything we've been working on thus far, this sense of connection to body and breath, keep it as we start to work a little bit harder in our muscles. Drop some weight into your feet. Can you feel the grounding of this pose? The earth is there. Move into it. Full, beautiful breaths. Long exhales. Melt the base of your skull. If you're ready, come on up and we'll tip and move to the other side again. Right foot. We're going to come into triangle pose. Tip the pelvis, our legs stay straight this time, and open things up. Shoulders away from the ears. Feel that sense of space and length in the body. Again, feel the grounding of the earth. So press your feet down. Feel when you move your weight into that left heel, what happens in the spine and the hips. Find that sense of grounding. Relax the shoulders away from the ears. Feel the open space in the body. Moving into both sides of the ribs as you breathe. Those exhales are still coming out slow and steady. Come back up. Turn your feet the other way. Okay, so a block is a really nice thing to have handy. Stretch your arm, bring your hand down onto the block. Enjoy the openness. Relax the shoulders away from the ears. Breathing well. What's it feel like to have that grounding of the back heel? Try not to leave all your energy in that front leg. Feel the grounding, lengthen through your spine. Feel your breath come in and the slow exhales out. Can you relax something? How about the base of your skull or your eyes in their sockets? Come back up. Over to the other side again, arms coming up. Exhale, Virabhadrasana 2. Warrior 2. Stretch your arms out. Feel the ground. This pose is so spacious. We take up a lot of room. We feel powerful in this pose. So give yourself that confidence and ground, like you really can harness the energy of the earth up into your body. Feel the stout, open heart, the strong, open heart. Breathing well. Long, steady exhales here. Build your confidence and your courage with this pose.
Okay, let's reverse the warrior, just to open up our side body a little bit here. Breathe into that. And straighten your leg and turn your feet the other way. Finding your breath. Breathe into Virabhadrasana on this side. So, remember that your pose might be here. You don't have to bend. You can bend very deeply, but you don't have to. And you can also support. So if you have a knee or a hip that's a little vulnerable, you can take a block against a piece of furniture or a wall to support those joints. Drop the shoulders. Again, find the confidence of this posture, the open heart, the broad chest, the ability to breathe deeply and feel those exhales. Stretching outward into space in all directions, crown, tail, reaching heart to hands, reaching your feet into the earth. Okay. Let's reverse the warrior on this side, open those ribs up. And then come back. This time, put your block on in the center. You might not need a block. Feet are wide. Maybe you can come down without a block. Maybe the head or hands are on a block. Your choice of how this pose feels. Thigh bones back. Feel the melting. So when you come into a posture like this, there's such beauty in the inversion, the forward fold. Start to feel that your exhales can come out deeply and steadily. Come back up to stand. Arms come out wide. Feel that huge giant power within you. Use the earth, access it, reach into space. Okay, hands come onto hips, heel toe your feet in just a little bit. Let's move into a tree pose to balance. Drop some weight into your right foot. Now remember, if you're having a day where your balance is not so steady, you can always keep your toes on the ground and do the pose here. You can bring your foot just a little bit off the earth. You can also bring your foot high. So just find the pathway that's right for your body today. Focus on the drishti, your gaze point. Find something to settle on that's steady. As you do this, soften your eyes. Feel those exhales. See if you can hug your right hip in, support the stability of the pose. Soften your knees so you're not hyperextended. Arms might feel like coming up or out. Maybe your hands feel more steady together at your heart. So find the pathway of the posture for today. Let your gaze steadily find something softly. Feel your exhales. See if you can become the eye of the storm. Turbulence can be around you. Turbulence can be in your mind. And yet you can still feel this centering. Long, steady exhales. Okay, unwind. Place that foot down onto the ground. Let's change sides. So remember, the pose can be foot close to the ground or touching the ground, or your foot can be high. Try not to stick your hip out. Hug your hip in. Feel that stability of the posture. Soft gaze. Where is most comfortable for your hands to be? Do you want to be up overhead? Do you want to be nice and wide with your arms? Would you rather have your hands together or your hands on your hip? Can you feel that you're not leaning forward, that your crown is over that standing foot? The heart is open, the shoulder blades are down, the collarbones are broad. We're still feeling that sense of breath. The exhale is slow, the gaze is soft. Don't worry if you wobble. Turbulence comes and goes. Steady the mind. Steady the breath. Place that foot down onto the ground. Enjoy These 2 points of contact, that grounding force in the body. Inhale, arms coming up. And if you are not facing the front of your mat, turn to face the front of your mat and fold forward. Relax your skull. Inhale for a halfway lift. Melt again. Whatever foot you don't ever bring back first, bring that one back first, dog pose. Take the opportunity to feel the inversion, to feel the forward fold, to melt and relax, to feel your exhales. Come forward into a plank. Lower yourself down. Choose a pathway for a back bend that feels good, or just rest there without a back bend. Back down, up on tall fours. Move your spine about. And grab a blanket if you need it, pigeon pose. Right foot in front, left leg behind, left leg behind. If you need to make a different choice, like reverse pigeon, go ahead and do that. If you can be in pigeon pose, let's feel that the forward fold is a really beautiful thing for that parasympathetic nervous system. So obviously we're opening up the hip. What I want you to focus on is the skull resting on your hands or on a block. So whatever, whatever feels good to you. Find the pathway that's right. The hips are square, so obviously it's a big stretch in your pelvis. But let's see what you can do to melt the breath and feel those exhales come in longer or come out longer. Try not to hunker the spine, melt into your length and space. Melt your head. All right, come back up. Let's switch sides. So we're going to take our left foot in front, right leg behind. You can always do a dog pose in between. Take different support with the blankets or blocks, whatever you need. Maybe you're on your back doing reverse and you just switch your legs. As you find comfort in this posture, so wherever you need to be, adjust to a place where your joints are happy and you have that support that you need. Melt your head, rest your head on something, whether it's the back of your head resting on the ground or your forehead resting on your fists or a block. Let the head being supported give the cue to your nervous system that all is well. Feed yourself some relaxation. Feed yourself a long exhale. Up when you feel ready. I'm going to come out of that posture. Sit on the edge of the blanket. Feet are straight out. Grab a strap. Paschimottanasana. Lift up through your spine and start to melt forward. So for some of us, forward folds are the most soothing for our nervous system. For some of us, restorative back bends are the most soothing for your nervous system. So we're going to do a little bit of both. If you want to, you can stack up some blocks or some support so your head can be resting. One of the keys of this posture is to not roll your pelvis back and round the spine, but tip a little into an anterior tilt and feel the spaciousness of your spine. Let's come on out of there. For some people, when they feel anxious, going inward can be very difficult. So those forward folds like Janu Shirshasana or a plow pose or a child's pose, sometimes they can be a bit overwhelming. It's like turning inward is scary. Sometimes they feel amazing. So you choose your pathways to support yourself. So now we're going to work with this rolled towel. So if you feel on any given day that having your heart open a little bit more with some rocking and movement, and that might help you, then this is a beautiful thing to try. Not only is this beautiful for this purpose, but it just opens up your spine in a lot of great ways. So just in case you haven't done this, a roll towel with a kitchen towel with 3 rubber bands on it. So it turns into this little tiny bolster. And we're going to start this at the top edge of our shoulder blades. Our feet are on the ground, knees bent. There's 3 different positions with the arms, and there's a rocking that happens from your legs. So we'll start with the rocking. So we want to go north-south, so crown tail rocking instead of side-side rocking. We want to just feel that we're slowly kind of rocking over that towel. It's very subtle. This is not big back bends. This is kind of like hydrating and nourishing all the nerves and all the vertebrae. So the positions with our hands is hands over chest. This will mimic a little bit of flexion in the spine. Everything's super subtle. And then arms overhead. And this might be challenging for some shoulders, so you just do the best you can. This stimulates a little bit of that extension of the spine. And then the third position is hands come back up over the chest, and we turn our head and bring our arms over to one side, all the while rocking. We have not stopped rocking. And then arms up and go to the other side. Now, for some people, this is very hard to figure out. The rocking can be super easy. Some people get it just like that. Some people struggle a lot with trying to find this rhythm of rocking. So we want to keep our pelvis in, and then as you go, before I kind of give you some cues on the rocking, once you finish those 3 patterns of the arms, move the bolster, the little rolled towel, a little lower in your spine. We're going to go down the whole spine. So all 3 positions, arms over chest, arms overhead, and then back over chest and twisting one side and then twisting the other side. Take your time. This feels good. So it should feel good. So you want to enjoy and let your body just come into this moment of this beautiful thing that you're doing. Now, if you struggle with the rocking and you find that you're just kind of like moving your pelvis into a posterior and anterior tilt, see if you can quiet the pelvis and push off your feet to make your crown and tail rock forward and back, or top to bottom. Sometimes putting your toes up on a bolster with the bolster against a wall can give you the support that's needed to keep the pelvis nice and quiet. So those are just a couple of tips. Sadly, I can't see you doing this, so I don't know what else to say. If I could see you, I might have better suggestions. But just allow those 3 movements of the spine to happen. Moving into your breath. If you find a spot that is just completely delicious, then hang out there for a while. There's no rush to get through your spine. The more you do this, the more you want to do this. The more you do it, the more your spine starts to accept both the movement and the pressure. And it can be a beautiful way of nurturing yourself when you're feeling unsettled. Sometimes when people feel anxious, chest openers can be really hard. Everybody's different in how they respond to all these tools. So I give you all of them just so you know that you can try all of these different things when you're having a day when you're feeling anxious. Any form of exercise usually can be helpful. But yoga has its own incredible beauty because it's so intentional, and there's so many therapeutic aspects to the intended movement patterns, breath patterns. a real deep sense of embodiment anytime you move your body. But yoga kind of, has that extra, cherry on top. Okay. So hands over chest, hands overhead, or arms overhead, and then twisting. Are you moving down your spine? How is it feeling in different locations as you move this little bolster down your back? Are you starting to free up your breathing a little bit better? Now, when you get into your low back, you might feel that nothing's happening. There's that natural curve in your lumbar spine. So if you get to a place in your back where you're like, yeah, this isn't doing much for me, then you can pick up your knees and hang on to them and just rock a little bit top to bottom. So you just get that little bit of nurturing of a little bit of massage across the lower spine and the low back. Now, a few people have asked me, can I do this with a foam roller? And I would say a hard no. Okay, so really you need a soft, small thing to be doing this on. You may think bigger, harder is better, but not for this. Okay, there are times when that is true, but when we are subtly moving with the breath and the spine, the ability to melt into what we're leaning on is a really important aspect of getting your parasympathetic nervous system to relax. I'm sure you've all had experiences in a massage where there's times of stress in a massage where, the pressure's deep and you're like, okay, I'm dealing with something here. And that can be good for therapeutic reasons. But you want to have that balanced with the nurturing quality of that heightened parasympathetic system. So this is that. Okay, this is what we want. And then when we come to our sacrum, you can put your legs back down. And sometimes it feels good to be on your feet at the very bottom of your sacrum, like your tailbone area. Sometimes it's helpful to straighten your legs, put your heels on the ground, and just kind of flex and point your toes to feel that rocking through your feet. Now, even in the lower, once you get down to the sacrum, even though it may not feel like the movement of the arms is doing much, still do it because it is doing a little something. All right, now you might not be anywhere near done. Maybe you're still in your thoracic spine, and that's awesome. Okay, slow is really good. Doing this for an extended period of time, it's always available to you. Anytime you have time to lie down on the ground and do this, it can be really good for you. So when you are done, lie down for Shavasana, and before you might need a little something like knees to chest, but first just lie down and feel what the rocking and the soft pressure along your spine and the breathing have done for you. Is your breath able to be more steady and slow and deep? Can you start to melt your body down? And if anything's hurting and you need a little posture here or there, a twist or a happy baby, then do that. But if your body's content, you can also just lie here. As you start to surrender into the Shavasana, notice the whole practice effect, but especially that last rocking. Do you have a sense of both being open and relaxed? Which is often very different from feeling closed and tense. So nurture the sense of openness and relaxation by melting the heaviness of your body into the ground. Allow your shoulders to relax. The head is heavy. Keep your throat open, your jaw and your tongue free. Relax your eyes. As the weight of your body melts, feel the freedom of your breath. Let's begin to deepen the breath. Slow exhale again. Help us wake, maybe roll your ankles and toes and wrists and fingers. Maybe turn your head. If you feel like you need some invigoration, maybe a big stretch of arms overhead, maybe a squeeze of your muscles. Coming onto your side.
Slowly, slowly bring yourself to a comfortable seat. As you come to sit, know that your practice supports you, that you have these tools available to you anytime. You don't have to do a whole hour practice to reach in and support yourself with a bit of your yoga. Let's offer our presence, share your energy with someone who needs your love and support. Namaste. Thank you, everyone.